Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to another critical dialogue right here with yours truly, Ronald Smith and Andrew Crawley, and we have Bishop Dorsey is back on with us. Thank you so much for joining us. Hey, we want to give shout out to all our advertisers and sponsors. If you're interested as well and wanting to advertise, like my man Howard from HowardSuperstore.com, hey, come on and jump on board with us because hey, we are going places and we want to present and promote whatever it is that you have a business, a book, or if you're a musical artist, go check us out, musicindustrymakeover.com, as we produce podcasts as well and things like that. So, yes, again, thank you all so much for those who have tuned in and also those who have become sponsors and advertisers. We are growing. So, hey, let's make some things happen for you, okay? Man, we've got a great show lined up for you as well, all right? And as we do each and every Tuesday night, and if you'd like to be us, donate or give or so, feel free. There's a cash app right there. All right. And yes, whatever amount that lays upon your heart, feel free to go ahead on and give it. All right. Other than that, hey, look, hey Crawley, what's going on with you, sir?
Man, nothing much, man. I mean, nothing much and a little bit all at the same time. So
Mm-hmm.
good. Again, I still count it a privilege to be on with you guys and good to see Bishop, man. I got so
Yeah.
used to him being on. Hey, it started feeling naked with just two people. Even though, we carried the torch, but good to see Bishop back, man. And definitely excited about the show tonight, man. It's definitely excited about the show and also the Crawley talk coming up. So.
All right, definitely. Hey, Bishop, hey, any quick words you want to say? How's everything going with you?
Hey, hey, brother. Well, no, it's a blessing to be back on. Just really been busy going through, dealing with a lot, and these are very transitional times, both in the
Mm-hmm.
world and in the church. Um, I don't know that we are truly sensitive to all the things that are taking place and the relevancy to the things that are taking place. But that said, and I'm always glad to be here with you, brothers. It's always a blessing. It's always a moment of impartation and perfecting. So I'm grateful.
Hey man, we're always glad to have you as well, Bishop. So thank you so much because you add a lot of great nuggets to the show as well. All right, in wisdom for sure. Good morning. I mean, good evening there, Maurice. Whoa, man, my fam right there. Thank God for you. All right, hey, we're going to get right into it. We got a Crawley talk as we talk about the topic, given to the topic about hip hop and R&B music and it being detrimental to the black community and so. But yeah, this is gonna be a hot topic, and we're supposed to have another guest on the show, so hopefully she'll jump on whenever. But all right, Crawley, it's on you, brother.
Sure, man. Real quick, what I want to take this moment to do before we get started tonight is really there's a war going on between, and we hear it a lot on the show. People who come on the show, and I want to address, something that took place last week with the person. I think it was, I'm not for sure who it was, Ron, but it was labeled Facebook user. So I'm thinking it. But you
Mm-hmm.
remember someone asked, and they was talking about, is truth and the fact the same? And
Oh,
I
okay.
said no, and then I just saw Facebook users, so I don't know who that was. But who that was, I hope they're watching tonight or go back and watch the replay. Because the reason I'm bringing this up is this gives an example of one of the big wars that's going on in the minds of Americans and American Christians and American people. We have bowed to this agenda where we worship subjectivity and now think that no longer objectivity is a real thing. So now when someone says something that you don't agree with, of course God gives us the right to disagree, but that don't mean we won't pay for disagreeing whenever truth is presented. You can choose to disagree with the person all you want to. But whenever you're disagreeing with something that's true, you are the person that's going to hurt, not the truth, and not the person that's giving it. The reason why I want to share this is because, and again, this was a perfect instance last week because the moments I said something that someone didn't agree with, they labeled it as that's just your opinion. And Ron, you've heard me say and teach. I've even taught. Just just because some words come out of a physical flawed man's mouth don't mean that everything that comes out of his mouth is his opinion. Because if he is an oracle of God or if he is repeating something that's simply in scripture, that's not his opinion. That's now He's just echoing something that is true or that is factual. And so it was. And with that point, last week, if you remember, there was, okay, that's just your opinion because someone was believing that truth and fact is the same thing. Well, I got news for you. Just because you don't like to agree or just because you don't think so, guess what? When you go and look at sources, it is just as I said last week. You know what? When you look into even another language, not just the English language proves that if you look up the definition for truth, you look up the definition for fact, they are similar. One is a part of the other, but they are totally two different concepts. Not only that, even if you look into Greek, two different Greek words, two different Greek definitions. So where does that leave us? That leaves us back to the thing that I'm trying to get us not to bow to. There is a such thing as black and white, regardless of the world want to make everything gray or say that everything that everybody says is just their opinion. No, what needs to happen is that we need to look to be teachable to the point to say, listen, if I do or don't know or not sure of something, let me even speak about it as if my opinion or until I do further research on it. But understand this, everything is just not subjective and everything ain't left up to, well, I like this, so I'm going to keep this for myself. And whatever the case may be. The thing about it is that that was a perfect example of no, everything ain't subjective like we want to believe. There is objective truth. There is still such a thing as black and white. And we don't get to determine and dictate what stuff are and what stuff is. And not only that, but Webster's not even big enough that when it wants to change definitions, it's changing what has always been true. So I just wanted to bring that up, and because I know that's going to be compatible with tonight, because a lot of people are going to be looking at tonight. I'm sure most from the filter of defending what they like to be entertained by, and that is the wrong filter to see it. See it from the filter of I want to be open to something that can possibly make me a better person, or if not, at least a better Christian. So.
All right. Okay, man. Yeah, that's going to definitely be well, part of many talk shows with that subjectivity and because yeah, it's a lot of rebuttals that could definitely go with that, but now we're gonna say that for another show and things. But hey, Yari, how
All
you
the
doing?
rebuttals
Thanks so much
true.
for doing it. Hey there. Again,
That's
in
the
the
main thing.
ears of the
All the
beholder.
rebuttals, all the rebuttals true. There is a such thing as black and white. If you don't believe that, you are in a utopia.
Yeah.
and
Okay. All right.
TV and media is definitely doing exactly what they want to your mind.
All right. Hey, well, look, this is gonna be a very good show tonight. All right. Hey, y'all join us. All right. Feel free to tune in. Spread but thank you for tuning in. But definitely spread the word out there. Share this. And hey, we want you to get engaged as we talk about this here tonight. All right. Why is hip hop and R&B music detrimental to our community? All right. And yeah, this is an argument that has definitely been going on for a while. You know, I've even have some conversations, many of conversations about this. All right, and again, with music itself, and so again, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to speak whatever it is that you feel. All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Hey, don't be afraid. Okay. Hey, Miss Mildred, how you doing? Thanks so much for tuning in. All right. All right. Again, as we talk about why is hip hop and R&B music detrimental to our community, I guess I would like to go and just say is, that's a very intriguing question for us, even with what's going on today and a lot of death that's in hip hop. For us lyrically, that's in hip hop, and even some of the R&B music that that pretty much leads to sin per se, or what have you. But it's just that this has been going on for a long time that we have accepted it. I guess the main question I've asked, is it hip hop and R&B's music fault, or is it the lack of maturity to not listen to that on the radios or even purchase those kinds of music that we know that's detrimental to our culture. Instead of us, blaming the music or so. Again, can we look within ourselves? You know,
And Ron,
again,
did you want to real quick? I think it's good. Could you just back up and let the audience know what got us to picking this topic? This evening, because I
yeah,
know not only was it post, but the post came out of
yeah,
something. Because you tagged me in something and thought that, hey, this would be good to talk about that somebody else posted. So could you just give a little background about the reason why we even talking about it tonight?
yeah. Had a young lady that I've known for a while, and she was talking about music within the community, and how that we have to take some accountability with as a village, because again, we endorse this by listening to it, and it's been saturated throughout the years. Again, I'm just kind of paraphrasing, but I was hoping that she would be on so she could explain why she did this. And it's just that, she just pretty much brought it that, we have to have this conversation of, again, why are we continuously going through this same vicious cycle of misogynistic lyrics and gang banging and death that's being produced, that's within our community, within our culture. So, why do we continue to endorse this when we know it's not healthy for us? And again, it's just kind of paraphrasing. Like I say, hopefully she'll jump on real soon here. But that's the reason why we pretty much chose this topic tonight. All right. And again, we would like to know your comments out there as well. Feel free. Do you feel hip hop and R&B music is detrimental to our community? All right. I guess for us with the Black community. So, yeah, go ahead, Crawley or
Well,
Bishop.
I'll
Either
just
one.
toss it to Bishop real quick, but I just also want to make this statement because I know when people either jump on or whatever the case may be, because when you're getting on a specific subject or even group of people, some are gonna say, well, we can't put all the blame on this, that, and the other. Notice that the question of the night, or we're not saying that hip hop and R&B is the only thing that's detrimental to the community. We are saying it is doing its part. So guess what? That frees us up to be able to hone in and focus on this for this hour. Gone are the days where people, because when you talk about something, and we now gone are the days where we look at it as a privilege to have truth meet us where we are, to kind of straighten us out. God says, I chasten those who I love. We no longer see correction as love anymore. We see it, and what does the Bible say? If you correct a fool, he'll hate you for it. But if you correct a wise man, he would love you and adore you for it. He would see it as, thank you for doing that, because I want to be as healthy as I possibly can. So just on the offset, we're not coming at this saying that hip hop and R&B is the only. Yeah, because what about rock? We don't say anything about the white folk music. No. We're focusing on this tonight because we're not saying it's the only, but we're saying it is definitely doing its part in being a detriment to our community. So I just wanted to say that for, but then I'll toss it to Bishop and see, let him, get kicked off as well.
Yeah, I think this is a really deep topic. What I would want to take a look at or delve into is the whys, right? Why is it, if it is detrimental, why is it detrimental? And I think for me, it comes back to this one premise. And this is something that believers are really going to have to take a long, hard look at. And that is, what do we stand for? Because when you take a stand, you set a standard. And going back to something that Apostle Crowley said, if you're standing on fact, that doesn't mean you're standing on truth, right? Fact won't make you free. Truth, right? And the truth that makes you free is the word of God. And I think one of our issues is that we are allowing ourselves to be moved off of our stand, right? We're being moved off of our stance. There's a place that we're supposed to be, right? Steadfast and unmovable. and we're not that, right? I remember not long ago, I did a brief session, and we were talking about love songs and slow jams, and what people listen to on Valentine's days. And I'm dating myself here, so don't nobody laugh at me. The music that we used to play back at the house parties, right?
Yes, sir.
And a lot of the songs that we called slow jams and that we called love songs weren't about love. They were about fornication, adultery, they about prostitution, using somebody, being in love with somebody else's woman, being in love with somebody else's man. And none of it had anything to do with covenant. None of it had anything to do with the glorifying or the covenant of the Lord. But here we were, bumping and grinding. Here we were getting caught up in the moment, not listening to what it was imparting or instilling into us. So
definitely. Wow. Hey, you brought back something there. Hey, we want to welcome a young lady unknown since she was a middle schooler back in the day. She used to listen to me on the radio, and now she's all grown up with kids and things, and she's joining us here on Critical Dialogue. This is actually the young lady who actually made the post. Hey, Miss Stacy. What's going on, Stacy?
Hey, how is everyone?
Hey, Stacy, thank you so much for spending a
I'm
little
trying to put
time
in
with
my
us.
headphones. Sorry, guys. I'm in the middle of getting my hair braided.
Yeah, you get ready for that classic weekend.
And the way my hair's set up, I can't let y'all see me like this. Ain't nobody gonna take no picture of me.
All right. Hey, if you can, Stacy, can you elaborate on the post that you made the other day concerning music, hip hop and R&B music?
Okay, so because I want to, when I made the post, I want to read it, I guess. So let me go back.
Sure. Go ahead and read. Yeah, definitely.
That way I can't, because I post so much, to be honest. Not like that, but I mean, because what all the stuff that's going on. Let me see.
Yeah, and again, those that are tuning in and watching, you feel free to join in. All right. I got a Facebook user. I'm gonna read this comment. It says, "I think there's enough blame to go around. They targeted our communities like always, but we as a people also allowed this music to enter their lives because we proclaimed the artist was to relate to their struggles." That's a good point there. That's a very good point, especially in hip hop.
Okay, so okay, so I think the post was so much. I can't find it because I guess I'm in a bad area. But the post was so much like, are we ready to talk about how detrimental, rap music? And maybe I should let me reiterate, because all rap is not bad, right? You got gospel rap, you got you got positive rap, hip hop, all of that other stuff. So I was just saying how rap music, gangster rap music, is detrimental to our community. And I want to elaborate because I'm not a Kanye fan per se. I was when he did College Dropout, because at that time I was too. It was so cute. So I felt that, and I understood where he was coming from, and he was saying some real stuff. However, a broken clock is right at least twice a day, and he said some very interesting stuff where you basically can talk about Black people all day in a very negative way, and you cannot do that to any other race. The Indian race would not allow you to call them their derogatory name. The Jewish race would not allow you to call them a name, their derogatory name that starts with a K. You don't hear, even in metal, because somebody tried to argue, well, heavy metal. No one's blaming heavy metal. Actually, some people are blaming heavy metal for a lot of things that happen in their community, which is why you don't really hear it anymore, and it's not as popular. However, we're the only genre, which is gangster rap music, okay, that is allowed to call our women bees, to tell each other to RIP each other, to harm each other, to set up gangs, to do gang-like activity. And then some people was like, well, we're just telling a story. All right. There's a difference between telling the story of the Holocaust and glorifying the story of the Holocaust.
Amen.
So you can tell your story of rap music and your life and how you lived in the hood, but reality is, brother rapper, You, sir, don't live there no more, and my students do. Okay. And when they explain to me why they fought, they explain to me in your lyrics, like the baby say. Now, watch this. Brother, I'm not finna beat up on you because I know somebody is puppeting you, which is why when you try to put out your positive music, the producers won't give you that cut. But if you put out something that say I'm an F and the boys and our men in our life are F and Fs, and you put a good beat as you know that's gonna make us jump,
Mm-hmm.
it's okay. So I'm not, and then what you tell these rappers, look how much money I would give you. I can take you out of the hood. I can do all. Now you bribing our rappers to incite violence to our
Right.
community. So I'm not holding the rappers who are trying to make sure that their family eat technically accountable to a certain degree, because the only way we can hear these rappers is if it get on mainstream media and music. How is it doing that? Through these producers and executive producers. So these executive producers, if they continue to produce music that is detrimental to our community, they need to be sued, held accountable, just like Luke was sued and held accountable for the music that he made. And the only reason I think he was held accountable because he had his own record label. See, that was back in the day when
Mm-hmm.
those artists was able to have their own record label. So what you did, you told Death Row they can't talk about gangster rap. Then you bought Death Row and you then put people on your record label to talk about gangster rap. You got rid of Suge Knight and Tupac and Biggie for that, and then you turn around and you made it your business. They are the ones that need to be sued. They're the ones that need to be accountable. These rappers are the victim to the entertainment industry. And if you're a rapper and with the death of Takeoff and all that other stuff, it is time to take it back. It's time to take back your community. Those kids they don't even know what they was beefing for. Even these kids don't even know what they be beefing for. Oh, for G purpose. What is G purpose? You finna die for general purposes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey, we got some comments here that say that you are definitely correct in what you're saying. And Mildred mentions how she thinks the song Beyonce, "We're Getting Effed Up Tonight." I feel like effing something up tonight. People on the TikTok dance. That's a negative message.
I
As most of
mean,
Beyonce songs are
okay, so
negative.
watch it. So watch this. Watch this. Is it negative messages or is she feeding off of what you all do anyway?
I
So
would say
wait,
it's
hold on.
still negative.
Some of y'all if it negative or not, some of y'all get messed up tonight, and some of y'all finna get messed up tonight now. Now, what I haven't heard the song all the way through. All I seen is the week something messed up
Cuff it.
tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't, I don't know. I don't follow trends, so I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, can you blame Beyonce or am I blaming you for watching it? If you turn it off your TV,
That's a good point.
it got to okay. Yes,
Well,
they're putting it.
that's what I want to respond. That's
Yeah,
what I
I was
want to
about to
respond
say at
to.
the same time too. Yes, they putting it out there, but you
Yes.
don't have to click it because the only way they putting it out there because you click
Right.
it because they're cocking what you click. So if you click it and you do it, they're going to keep putting it out there. You can't say that you don't like gun violence and all of this negative stuff and then turn around and say meet me down at the Pink, whatever show that is, with the strippers and all that other stuff. That show, you
Mm-hmm.
you you a whole Christian out here, or you believe in God, but then you watching that show and then you watching it around your kids and your kids see you watching it. And I mean, and I'm not down in the show,
Yeah.
but you can't pick and choose what's negative or not.
Yeah.
If it's
Here's the
negative, it's
thing.
negative.
I want to address what she just said, and I want to couple it because Ron posed a question: do we blame the artist or do we blame the people that's watching it? And I want to respond to that, and I want to start off by saying with the Facebook user at 847, he said, and I totally agree. He says, I think it's enough blame to go around. So guess what? Nobody is exempt from blame to
I
this, from the
agree.
producers or the artists, because one thing we have to realize as Black people, we have to self-examine and say, hey, because I know as Black people, we get a soft spot anytime another Black person can make money. And because we say, well, we know they got to eat. Here's the thing. The same as I would blame the artist, just like I would blame the dope dealer, because if you got to eat off feeding your own people poison, then that's not good eats. You can find something else to do. Because, and also, like you said, with the producers, which I agree with what she was talking about, just putting it out there. And guess what? The people that consume it, like there's enough blame to go around. If you have a hand in putting these projects together, promoting and advocating all of these things, then yes, some blood is definitely on your hands. So all of the artists of the world that most people like, the Beyoncés, the rappers, NWA, all of those people that we can name, and I'm talking about young, new, and old. If you are feeding your people poison, then guess what? You definitely have a hand in the blame, and you're not exempt or innocent just because you got to feed your family. Because that's the same thing the dope dealer saying. Well, I got to. So
Exactly.
so Frank
I
Lucas
said that.
wasn't innocent when, even though he killed so many people with his drugs, but yet he was giving out free Thanksgiving turkeys at Thanksgiving and Christmas. That doesn't
Right.
purify your money
Right. That
or what
doesn't.
you do,
Right.
sir. You need to change your occupation.
Hey,
I
hey, that
agree.
was good right there. Hey, if y'all want to join in on this conversation, all right. Again, hey, feel free, jump in. Why is hip hop and R&B music detrimental to our community? All right, awesome. Oh man,
Wait, hold
um,
on. It's R&B too. Oh, okay, so watch this. You can't say that. You got to specifically give a genre, because if you say rap, or if there's some great R&B
Mhm.
music out there, so R&B itself is not detrimental. The R&B music that tells you to bust it open. But once again, here we go. When I found a song back from 1930 that was ratchet. I was like, oh my god, and I mean horribly ratchet.
mhm.
Um, I was just talking to my friends about this, because this is what I think is happening. Why is it glorified? Okay, because sex is glorified in America and around the world, right? And because it is, people want to make money off of it, and this is why the Bible says the love of money is the root of all evil. Money is good because you
Right,
need it to
That's right.
survive.
That's right.
agreed.
They ain't
Yeah.
fool to sit here and say I don't know, but it's the love for it. What I got to do just to get that dollar. You, ma'am, gonna sit here and shake, and I don't judge you because I get it. But guess what? There's so many other ways to make money. There's so many other choices.
Yes.
You want to do it because it's
Mhm.
fast.
Hey,
You
we
want
got a question
fast
right
money.
here. Hey, but do we discuss the cause of this or just the results of it?
Can I turn this
So
to Bishop
correct.
real
So watch.
quick? Can I turn this to
Yes.
Bishop real quick, because I want Bishop to, because I think
Yeah.
Bishop already gave an answer to what Stacy, and I hope I'm saying her name right, posed a question, because she's like, well, do we get specific? And are we talking about R&B too? And the thing about it is yes, because the principle is the same. But Bishop kind of answered that when he started talking earlier about even the old music they was listening to back in the day, because R&B really wasn't about love. So Bishop, could you elaborate more? Because you kind of, I have a response to that too, but I want you to respond, because you and Part had kind of already started answering that question, why we do need to include R&B as well as, hip hop. Could you just explain, sir?
Yeah. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Bishop.
yeah, because I think a lot of times, um, when it comes to our culture, we are moved more by what is stimulating than what is right. We're moved by what touches us more so than what causes us to be a standard, to set a standard, and the reason why I started off with that statement is simply because, just like and I don't want to mess up her name. I believe it's Stacy. What she said is so powerful. What Because other nationalities, other ethnicities set a standard that says you will not talk about our women like that. You will not talk about we are probably one of the only races or nationality that get offended when another race uses a word that we use around the dinner table. We we call ourselves that and say, well,
Facts.
it's a term of endearment, or it's a term of affection. Well, how the definition doesn't change, right? And these are the things that we don't pay attention to, right? It is what we call soulful music. I have a problem with soulful music, right?
Okay.
But what is the message that it is imparting into my soul? What is the message that it is
I'm
delivering to my people?
I'm I'm so glad you said that, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I want to glad you said that. So I'm a music teacher, and there's a study called semantics, and it is a study of sound and how sound moves matter. and you are matter. A lot of our music is bass filled. Bass is a very low frequency. Because of slavery, our people literally resonate with low frequencies. If you listen to a lot of gospel music, it is in minor keys versus major keys.
We tried to tell Ron that a couple of weeks ago.
Okay, they're in minor keys versus major keys, and minor key. And when I go to church and I listen to the songs that are sung in minor keys, I see people, elevating to God faster than I see them doing it with those that are be happy. They're happy, they'll dance, they'll do that, but that's about it. But if it's a song, especially a slow one, in a minor key, and
they're praise and worship.
Richard Smallwood is great at doing it. You get what I'm saying? And so, sound moves matter. So the lower the frequency, the less complex of shapes. So what they did was they put sand on a on like a simoscope, and they had somebody they turned on this frequency, and the lower the frequency, the basic the shape. But the higher the frequency, the more complex of the shape. And the higher it was getting, the more complexity. And then you would start seeing the same shapes that were in the universe, in the sky, in your eyes, in your brains. And people don't understand when you're sitting here constantly. And yes, the beat sound good, but the beat is doing that so you will not subconsciously understand the words until you do. And then then
Very
it comes
good.
into you, and I'm doing it because I did it as an experiment during COVID, when the school was empty. 1 year, all I remember is when we were doing a Lion King, and then COVID happened, and then we couldn't do the Lion King no more. $2,000 going down the drain, 6 months of working going down the drain. I'm stuck at home with 4 kids. Oh my God, I'm losing my mind. And so I wound up getting this speaker when it was like, let's go back to school. I said, I'm going to get a speaker where I can carry. And so I started carrying this speaker, and all I do is play music. And for the past 2 years, who I am as a person, just playing nothing but happy music all the time, has changed my thought process to now where I'm on the morning announcements, and I play nothing but positive music, mostly from the 60s. But I play nothing but positive music that make people think, because I understand what you listen to subconsciously become you, because music activates all 4 parts of the brain at the same time.
Yeah, and can I make this point? And I'm not really I'm not a music teacher or anything like that, but I do know historically a number of the spirituals or the hymns that we are associated with, even initial Black gospel music, was composed on the Black keys only. Right? So if you listen to certain songs that are hymns, spirituals, early gospel music, it was literally composed just using the Black keys on the piano, right? And I saw a post. I don't think it's not that we hate ourselves, it's that we don't love ourselves enough. I don't, when you don't see worth, that doesn't mean you hate you. You just don't value yourself enough.
Yeah, because I think that's the part about making money at all costs. We value money and things more than our own well-being, psychologically, sexually, as well as spiritually. But yes, sir, go ahead.
Right. Like one of the things I say to people all the time, I'm like, yeah, I know you think about that person, but did you think enough about that person? Yeah, you thought about me, but did you think enough of me to pick up the phone and call? Did you think enough of me, right? And that's what's lacking in us, right? And then we allow these things that we know are self-sabotaging, these things that we know are degrading and demoralizing and sinful, and we turn them into an anthem. We the standard is our women twerking. That's the standard, right? The standard is, our brothers with their pants sagging. That's the standard.
Yeah,
right?
foolish.
And music
Right.
help us.
And
music help us make that normalized.
Yeah, and going back to something the sister Stacy said, watch this. In 2 Kings, and I'm not going to be here long. Samuel is the same prophet that anointed Saul, who was not God's choice, but was the same prophet that anointed David, who was God's choice. The difference is that when he anointed Saul, he used what the Bible referred to as a vial. But when he anointed David, he used a horn, because a horn has a sound, right? When you know that you are anointed, when you know you're special, when you know you are gifted, when you know that you are royalty, when you know that you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you, you have a certain sound. We've lost our sound. We've lost the sound of our integrity, our intellect, our social structure, our family values. We've lost our sound. Our sound is not gangster rap. Our sound is not demoralization. That's not our sound.
Right.
Slavery is not our sound.
Right. Definitely. Hey, man, these are some great comments that are coming through here. Associated, but these certain lyrics and songs are birthed out of pain of what they are seeing in our community every day. And again, definitely want to speak on that. And Doria says, it's funny though, we speak like other races don't have these issues. Yeah, go
Okay,
ahead.
Yeah, let me
so
respond
watch.
to that. Let me
Hold on,
respond to that
wait, hold on.
because
Can I say
what we
this real
need to
quick?
do is, yeah, well, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, sis.
Only
Then I'm gonna
because
respond to both of those.
he said something that I'm not saying it bothered me, but I don't need you. I'm just humbly asking, Bishop, if you don't say that. Slavery is our sound. I remember telling my frat sisters, I'm in a fraternity, and I remember telling my frat sisters, while we were having practice and everybody was upset, there's nothing wrong with recognizing the past, because the past is exactly who made you who you are. And those who forget their past are bound to repeat it. That's why we're repeating it right now, because we don't know. My students, kindergarten, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, middle school, they have no idea about slavery. They have no idea about truly civil rights. They have absolutely no idea. So that is our sound, but we don't need to stay in that sound, because we have way more than our ancestors ever had. It was their sounds. It was the songs like Wade in the Water. It was the songs like Follow the Drinking Gorge that were the maps. It were the hairstyles. It was the singing, Swing Low, Swing Chariot, coming forth to carry me home, which means the freedom train is getting ready to come right now. So through those sounds, because every day when I got to go to work, I listen to Negro spirituals. I listen to the songs of our ancestors, because I say they had less than we did and fought harder than we could ever imagine. And so it is the sounds, but we don't need to dwell. It's like we keep saying the white man or the whoever. We blame everybody but self-responsibility. At one point in time, you got to say, okay, when am I going to stop? Because somebody put crack in my community doesn't mean I need to sell it to my brother. Because someone says this don't mean I need to do it. Because that person is popular doesn't mean, but it's the songs of the ancestors. It's the Swing Low, Sweet Chariots. It's those hymns that brought me through. It's the, down by the river, let's go down, that one. And or there's a storm out on the ocean and it's moving this way. Like those songs keep me. But we keep staying there and blaming instead of saying whose fault is why Black people are in this predicament. Whose fault? I don't know whose fault it is, but it is my responsibility while I'm alive on earth to make sure that I make the best of what I got. And until we start instilling that in these kids, because let's be real, y'all, church is empty. They're not coming.
Right. But the point that I was making was just like when the people of Israel left Egypt, the reason why they couldn't go into Canaan was because while their physical chains fell off, their mental chains did not.
I agree.
Right. I listen, because I'm of an age where I had to sit on the back of the bus. I'm of an age where, and I not to make this racist, I got chased home by mobs of angry people that were not my skin color.
Amen.
Right. So for me, when I say it's not our sound, I'm not saying that we forget it because there was a price that was paid. Right. Freedom, deliverance, all of that comes with a price, but we can't hold on to that second class or that degraded mentality, and we can't do the job that Brother Lynch did so well by being the ones that perpetrate that own we perpetrate our own degradation. That's the part that has to stop.
And so let me respond to the comments on the side. Two of them, the one before Dorian and Dorian's, but these certain lyrics and songs are birthed out of pain of what we are seeing in our community every day. And we acknowledge this, like I said, even in the beginning. We acknowledge both of these comments in the beginning. If y'all go back and look at the beginning of the show, and that's why I was saying, like, of course, just because they was birthed out. Here's one thing that we got to realize as a people, as Christians and as Black people: being real doesn't equate with being right. And we think that just because something is real or is giving an accurate account to someone's testimony, that it's always appropriate to put behind art and that there is no negative effect behind it. That's not true. And so, therefore, just because, and not only that, y'all remember when I got on Lee Andrea Johnson, and everybody talk about when she was in her drunken stupor and she was talking about how the church and stuff really is, we talking about, oh, well, at least she's being real, or Beyonce church girl song. Well, Beyonce is just saying what's really going on in the hearts and minds of church girls. And that's, again, my point about that I was trying to make last week. Facts are not truth. Facts don't always point you to truth. As a matter of fact, if we need a biblical reference of that, go back and look at what Satan in the garden told Eve. He gave her facts, but we all know he was still lying while he was telling her facts. So just because we or people or artists are real still don't mean that they are wise, or still don't mean that they are right, and putting artistry to that. Because I promise you this, everything still don't need artistic optics to it, because some of it can still be a detriment by what we see and witness with our own eyes. Secondly, Dorian said, it's funny we speak like other races don't have these issues. Two things about that statement. One, other races of people, especially here, to the degree that we are talking about, don't have it on the same level that we do. One of the reasons why we are the minority, and one of the reasons why we are no longer the majority minority. You know, we're third now. It's not like we used to be white people and then Black people in America, and then our brown brothers and sisters. Now our brown brothers and sisters outnumber us. And part of the reason is what we have to do as a people is look to see, well, look, even if everybody else is doing the same thing, it's a privilege if you could show us how we can straighten us out. One of the reasons why is because guess what? It ain't that many of us to go around like there are other races. Think about that. It's not enough Black men to go around that we can mess over ourselves. Because see, when we mess over ourselves, it's a different mess up when other races mess over themselves. Why? Because statistically, there's not enough of us to go around. You kill a couple of thousand of white men, and you kill a couple thousand of Black men, guess what? The Black race feel it more because there are less of us. And it's not enough of us already being responsible. Yeah, well, I'm talking about right now, I'm talking about in the context of America. So when we say things like, because I know what we're trying to do is well, I don't like being straightened out, or I don't like to hear conviction or things that's correcting us. And that's why I mentioned what the Bible says about conviction and correction, because we don't understand how much of a privilege it is when we know, hey, we got a Black audience. When we're not talking to white people, Jews not watching Critical Dialogue. So who is watching Critical Dialogue? Black folks, and that's who we are talking to. And if you're talking and giving us an ear, this is why we're dealing with Black issues. So when our community, regardless of what other communities are doing, hip hop and R&B is and have been a problem for a long period of time. I'll digress and say what I want to say about answering the actual question of the night, after I give someone else a chance to speak.
All right. Again, thank you all so much for those comments coming in. Hey, Chris White says real hip hop is not detrimental to our community, just the sellouts. All right. And Dorian says CeeLo Green said that at his fits, what Crawley's saying. Some people say that being real is how long you can stay the same. And Robert Sessom says ingrained in our culture from way back. Yeah, hey, and again, a rehearsed lie can become your truth. You know what I'm saying?
And that's the concept. What you just said, Ron, or why. That's part of the reason why. Because I wanted to get to us answering the question that's on the flyer tonight. Why is it a detriment? And what part of the reason is, Ron, what you just said, that I also want to couple with what Chris White He says real hip hop is not detrimental to our community, just the sellouts. Well, I got a question. What are we calling real hip hop? Because
Christian hip hop is real hip hop.
Okay,
okay,
okay, so watch this. Christian
yeah,
hip hop is real hip hop. However, I ain't trying to be funny. I don't think Christian hip hop is real hip hop because why are you Christians converting yourself to something secular created?
I like that. I
I'm just
I
like
like
saying.
that.
that.
I'm just
I
saying
I
now.
like
I'm
that.
just
Hey,
saying. So if you're gonna be above, be above. What you did with Christian rap was take their stuff and it's really not Christian rap because I've heard Christian rap that actually got cussing in it. So
yep.
I mean, so I
That's
mean,
those
let's be
sellouts
real.
that he was talking
All
about.
right.
Right.
So
Right.
what I think it was groups like it's not always Christian rap. It was groups like Arrested Development talking about
Yeah.
I am everyday people and telling a story about
Hmm.
how he was out trying to have good time with his brothers and not take the negative route
Right.
and of course he didn't say negative,
Right. He
but
said
not
that.
take right, not take the negative route, and then somebody went and disrespected his woman, and so he stood up for her.
Yeah.
And he felt bad that he had to even fight his brother. But they got over Trump by Ice Cube. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, Ice
Gangster
Cube
rap.
come out with gangster rap, and then he becomes a family man. Meanwhile, the people that were actually positive, being family from day one,
Mm-hmm.
the only person that actually got up from that was Will Smith, and he still had to kind of get out of rap and go straight into acting, which allowed him to put out a couple of singles. And if it made it, it made it. If it didn't, it didn't.
Right.
Compared to those who live off of that period. But once again, I cannot blame the rapper because right
Hmm.
now, I can make the worst song about every race and say every derogatory name about that race. But unless those executive producers put it out on the radio, mainstream media, we got to hold these radio stations accountable. I don't care if the producer gave it to you. You don't play it. 102 Jams, you 94.5, you don't play it.
Mm-hmm.
85, 88.5, you don't play it. If it ain't up, so that's why I said it ain't just executive the radio stations. You get flagged for everything else except
Mm-hmm.
music. And then what get me is you clearly can make this music without the words and the derogatory stuff because it gets played on the radio as the clean version.
Yeah.
And
Hey.
Let's
I would
see.
disagree with the fact that I know she said she can't blame the rappers. Well, I can, and I think there
No,
needs to
I
be
said I
blame on the
blame.
rappers.
No, I can't say. I know it's just the rapper. Okay, in the beginning, like I said, I
Uh huh.
blame them because you got to take self accountability.
Okay,
However,
yeah,
who
gotcha.
is putting them out there is okay. The rappers are the branches.
And let's
The
deal with
executive
this.
producers and media are the root. Unless you get rid of the root, that tree's still gonna grow. So these rappers are only getting out there because the executive producers allow it. They got to take self responsibility. Start flagging them for, like I said, keep using Luke. Incite these rappers for riots, incite them for gun violence. But if you're gonna do that, also incite the radio stations that play it, incite the executive producers that allow it,
Yeah, I go with that.
incite those Sony, Arista, all those, record labels that allow those rappers and go down the whole daggone line. But what you're gonna do is you're gonna give the rappers the lesser sentencing because they're the victims. They've used their poor, like how they do football players. They use money knowing that they're poor. I can take your family out the hood. I can give you this. And knowing that, oh, I got $1 million, man, bump that, I'm gone. Let me make this song. They gonna do it.
Hey, well, Stacey,
So
really,
they the victim.
hey, like Chris said, that's never really going to happen. Which sounds good.
Nah, we can't say
And
it's never really gonna happen because I will
hey,
tell you this. I will tell you this. I am talking to state legislators now about
okay.
making it a law where these executive producers need to be held accountable in radio stations and of
Mhm.
course rappers, but the highest are going to be the executive producers because without them releasing the music, the radios and the rappers will never be known and can't hear it. They need to be held accountable for
So,
inciting a
so
riot.
it's pretty much about the message and the lyrics that determine the value of the song. Is that
Yes.
okay? All right.
When
Yeah.
I got first
The
graders and
message of the
kindergartners in my
lyrics.
class
Mhm.
twerking
Yeah. Yeah. It
and
says.
and and, and saying free, free,
Mhm.
that bothers me. And also watch this, the parents, you need to be held accountable. There's music for us and there's music for them. You should not be listening to music for us around them.
Hey, Roy, I like that.
But
I like.
it's still gonna
Roy.
find its way out because you want to know why? Times are different. Now we're just not limited to radio and TV and the producers because you want to know
Sir,
why? People
Sir.
can come instantly famous on their own with YouTube.
Okay, and guess what? They can instantly get off too when they do stuff. And when somebody try to unalive themselves and they got 2 million followers and they do it, boom, they shut off everything, shut down. No, no,
Right.
no, 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 no. I cannot do that. When YouTube, I bet you if you say the K word for the Jewish people, I bet you everything you own go get
Well,
shut down,
well,
including
that's
your
who
phone.
controls the
So
music
okay,
industry.
well then,
Right.
Okay.
but we control the
Yeah,
dollars. So stop.
that
So
is
stop
true.
giving
Right.
them the
Right.
dollars.
But
I
the thing,
agree.
but this
I
is
agree.
why. But the thing about it is, if that's why it's still enough blame to go around, because even if you penalize the producers and stuff, like you look at Tyler the Creator, he became famous and he became like well known off a YouTube
I
video
agree, Chris.
that got shock factor, and everybody still wanted to listen to it and get it in their, you know what I'm saying, get it in their spirit. But I want it. But going back to tonight, when we look at the flyer, it says why are these things, generally speaking, of detriment to not only our culture but just culture and society. Period. And it really boils down to this reason. If you want to know why,
That's right,
the
Carlos.
reason why it's detrimental is for this reason. It is because it is promoting, suggesting, and advocating sin. Now, when I say that, some people be like, okay, well, that's just a religious that's just you're making it now a religious subject. No, I'm not. Because here's what we all have to realize. When God made biblical rules, he just didn't make them for Christians. He made them for humanity. And he made them for humanity because he wanted humanity to be the most healthy. So whenever we break one of God's rules or whenever we dive into sin, it literally has a earthly penalty and consequence of hurting us spiritually as well as naturally. So sin has a cost to pay. So this is why when we look at it like promiscuity, babies out of it, like these have negative effects on our community, whether you are a Christian or not. See, the Bible is a book of principles, and it can work for whoever chooses to work them. So
Correct.
now when we say, because here's what should separate what we call, I guess, real hip hop from fake hip hop, or the reals or the sellouts. It is the products promoting, suggesting, or advocating sin. If so, this is what's being a detriment in our communities, because sin is a detriment within our communities. It breaks up home. It abuses kids. It gets mothers and fathers strung out on drugs, alcohol, sexual addictions, and things of that. Which, if we look at it, these things are glamorized. And again, like we said in the beginning, not only through hip hop and R&B, because through television now and everything, but because this is the subject topic tonight, this is one of the reasons why it is detrimental. So we don't want to start separating artists that we like and that we think is clean from artists that's not. Because one of the things that Bishop brought up like a time before, think about it. When you're promoting lusting and stealing someone else's woman, like the old time song, As We Lay, do you know what that song was about? It was
Yeah.
not about love. It was literally about destroying two other households. But when we look at that, we
Me
don't
and Mrs.
understand.
Jones.
Yeah, me
Yeah,
and
me and
Mr.
Mrs.
Jones,
Yeah,
all of that. Yep.
all of those. It's because a lot of time the older people think, well, ours was more clean. The
Nah,
only thing
don't
that can determine if it was more clean or not is if it was less sinful.
So, hey, it's
listen.
not the music
You don't.
itself. It's not the music itself that's inherently evil. It's what it's being used for. Just like, again, God created
Explain.
all things.
Now,
You know
when
what
you
I'm
say
saying?
that, what do you mean by that, Ron? Because when
Basically,
you say it's not the
all
music
things were
itself,
created by God and for him. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. All
And I
right.
thought
And so,
Satan was
again,
the god of music. I thought he was over music.
yeah,
but
I'm trying to
again, but
understand what you're
also,
saying with
well,
that.
hey, if you let me finish my point, I can tell you. And then the
No, you
fact
was
is
finished.
that
Yeah, pause. But go ahead.
now, yeah, because y'all was talking. The fact is that again, God created Satan too as well. So again, how did Satan end up becoming evil? All about a choice. So the fact is just like with music itself, music's not going to make you go out and do something unless it's being driven forth with the lyrical content of it. So it's all about the intent of what it's being used for. Like if I take a microphone and hit somebody over the head with it, is the microphone evil or was the intent behind it evil? And
But
that's
that's
just the same thing as with music. So
here's what I disagree with your example, because a microphone don't have content. It just illuminates what content you put through it.
music doesn't either. Just lyrics and music are two different things.
So are you saying the sounds and the beats? Because what our sister said earlier is that's a part of music, and sound by itself without the lyrics can change you. That's what we talked about last month when
Yes,
you disagreed with it, and
sound
she
can
proved that
change
because
you.
the same study that she talked about is the same one that I was referring about. Yeah,
But then
Sound
isn't
can
it?
change you.
But
The
doesn't
lower
that
the
go with the scripture
vibration.
saying that we were born in sin and shaped in iniquity? So it's like sin is in us, which is already in us, or so that's causing us to make those choices to go do those negativity things. I mean, again, I mean, make it make sense for me.
that's what I'm saying.
Say
Make it make
this.
sense.
Sin
You
is
just
in
said
us,
so
and
when
he
you say
died for our
music.
sins.
So are you because I'm just trying to get a working definition of what you're saying to make it plain. So when you say music, when you said music is not, are you just saying stuff without lyrical content? Is that what you mean? It just beats, Ron? I'm
Right,
trying to
stuff
understand.
without lyrical content. Yeah, stuff without lyrical content. So
Stuff
basically, going
without lyrical content can still, depending on the
Change you.
vibration,
Right.
it still can change you. And that is based off the study of semantics. You can go look it up. They talk into a
Mhm.
semiscope. They speak to water. It changes water. It
What
changes
they
in
did
the
rice,
lower and
they
the
did his
low.
rice study.
Right.
but
The
Can
but
I
lower the
make
changes it into
vibration.
what though? But
Okay,
can I
so
make
changes
an
it
watch
into
this.
what?
analogy?
So okay, it
Can I
changes
give
it
y'all an
into.
analogy?
Hold,
Can I
hold on,
give
Yes,
yes,
sir.
yes. Let me just answer his question, and I'm gonna hush. It changes it. The lower the vibration, the simpler the shape. The higher the vibration or frequency, or sound, the more complex the shape.
So let me give you this as an analogy, right? And I know this is probably going to sound crazy, but let me finish it. Whether you're talking about movies or video games or whatever, right? The music will tell you something is about to happen. What that something is will be determined or expressed in the sound of the music that they use. What type of instrument that they use. If they're using flutes and piccolos and all of these as Ashley said, if they're using all of these high octave woodwind instruments and brass instruments, it's light, it's lively, it's inspiring, or it's tranquil. When it's dark, when it's ominous, when it's cellos and basses and and while you're watching the movie, it sets the atmosphere. There's no lyrics, it's the music, right?
Yes.
Because music
Yes.
Right.
Music inspires. The
And it's still
question
spiritual.
is, right?
But
The
it
question
sets the
is,
atmosphere for what was for the intent for it. For I mean, whoever created that movie, or so is setting the atmosphere for the intent behind creating that movie.
Okay, so watch
If that
this.
makes
It
sense.
doesn't even set
right?
the intent. So it doesn't. Okay, so it's so funny you said this. So I had a music lesson in my class where we were talking about different sounds and how
That's exactly what I
sounds
was about to say. I
and
was waiting to speak.
and 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 how sounds literally you can watch the same video, put one sound behind it, and you feel something different, and you
Right,
looking
Roy.
at the video and you know something wrong because you're like, it doesn't go. And then I put the right sound with it. Now watch this. What I did was, what it did was I put a video game that I knew all the kids play. So and they were so excited to see the game being played out. But in the first video, I played Moonlight Sonata by Beethoven. And it was that doom, 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 doom. And the sound was very slow, but the movement in the video was going very fast. And when the kids were watching it, they were very quiet and they sat still, even though they were watching it and they were intrigued. The music literally made them sit still. And then immediately after, I changed the video to the same video, but with the actual sound that the video game played it. And as soon as I played it, the kids start jumping up and down, and moving. So it was just weird to see how watching the same video but changing the sound of the video changed their reactions and the feelings to the same exact video.
So my point is what Roy is saying. All right, music itself is not evil. God created music of all genres. The
Agreed.
devil is trying is destroying it by using some rappers that are adding lyrics which are evil. And that's
Well, here's the thing: we wherever we want, we can't get around the fact that music itself, even without lyrics, is spiritual. We
right.
can
Well,
see that
yeah,
in the we
yeah,
can see that. So
yeah. I've
when
seen
we
it in the
say,
Bible. Yeah,
but here's the thing: if it's spiritual, we don't think that music itself can be used for evil spirits, just like
and
good
that's the key
spirits.
word, like you said, can be used by whoever is using it for the intent, whether it's evil or good.
So I'm just saying, beats without lyrics can also be evil. Have you ever noticed?
Based upon the person that's producing the beats,
I'm saying that, well,
their
however
intent
they
behind
produce the sounds, I'm
Well,
talking about the sound. Well, even if we never know the producer,
it.
you can
Amen.
come in contact. You can come in contact with a sound that terrifies you based on how the musical notes are played. If we go
Agreed.
back and look at, and so I think we don't need to go
Oh,
down that
sinners.
rabbit hole because
Okay.
it's going to take us off from what we're
Yeah.
talking
No.
about tonight, because we are talking about
Hip
people who
hop
do
and
have an
R&B.
intent, whether it
Right.
be the artists and the people who get that out. So when we
well,
look
what's
at
this?
this,
Well,
yes, yes, sir.
and I don't mean to cut you off that, Carl, because I want to
Yes,
go
sir.
back to something that Brother Ron said, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's not just the intent of the composer. The person who's listening to has to be guarded. You have to guard your heart and your mind.
Mm-hmm.
You are responsible for your own soul salvation, right? So I need to be careful what I'm listening to. I have to identify my own. Mark's got to know what triggers Mark,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because if Mark don't know what triggers Mark, Mark is susceptible to go out here and to fall into all kinds of stuff that's not going to please God. Watch this. And I think I'm sorry, Sister
Stacy.
Stacy was saying, no, watch this. This is what I was thanking God for while she was talking. I'm thanking God that her children, whoever the parents
Now that's what I'm talking about.
of her children are, they need to celebrate the fact that they have somebody giving oversight. Because while you're listening to all of this stuff, you think your kids are asleep. They ain't asleep. They're at the top of the steps, listening to the same foolishness that you're. And what's getting into them? What's being
That's what I
put
said, Roy.
into them
Not the same
that's
thing.
going to cause them, right, to begin to act out, to have all these issues. This problem is bigger than what Luther said. It's not only for one night, right?
Again, you talk about lyrics and all right, which and that's what and
Well,
that's the
and
question.
music
Is
too.
But what I was getting
Music,
around to is I'm not talking about lyrics, because the Bible also says you can prophesy not with words, you can prophesy with instruments. So if the composer
well,
is bound by an
Lucifer did
evil
not
spirit,
wait. Lucifer had no lyrics coming out of him.
that is
Oh,
true.
If you understand the makeup of Lucifer,
And that's what I'm agreeing with.
Lucifer did not have lyrics coming out of him. He had instrumentation coming out of him.
That's right. Amen. And the Bible teaches that in the Bible, you could prophesy with instruments. So therefore, the reason that music is spiritual, music can hurt you without words based on the composer, because we say it's the composer's intent. Really, no. If it's spiritual, it's the spirit that's driving them
I think you're
intent. Why?
saying the
Because the
same thing I'm
Bible
saying.
is because you said if it's got to do with the words, and I'm saying it's got to do with
Yeah,
more than the words.
I said it's the intent behind it. So if the composer's intent is evil, then yeah, that makes it evil, because everything God created was good. All
So
right.
even the composer that composed the beats, not just the lyrics, would you say that? Because there we are saying the same thing, but if not, we're saying something different.
I guess we could go that route, but kind of similar to what Roy's saying. If he could use a knife to cut some meat, but if he used it to kill someone, was the knife evil? All right.
But the thing about it is, the knife is not spiritual. Beats and music and sounds are. That's what makes that a different argument. Like,
Okay.
and again, I see what he's saying. We can say the same for guns. Guns are evil.
Right.
It's whoever you put in the hand to use
Okay,
it.
so
Exactly.
watch this.
But
You
here's the
guys-
thing. Here's the thing. Why I was getting around to the thing that I was getting
That's
around
it,
to
Chris.
before when we started speaking was, if we stick with the main thing, let the main thing mean the main thing. However, we got the product, we're generally talking about the product that comes across radio stations that we probably should or shouldn't be listening to. And
Great.
one of the things that, Rhonda, that we was going to bring up, we're going to take a pause here for a second. This is a 3-minute song that I want us to listen to. Now, I don't know the guy personally. I think he's one of the best all-time, gospel, however you want to call them, rappers that has ever done it. That's another story altogether. But he come out with this song entitled Rick Ross, and I want us to pay attention to the words of what he's saying. I don't even know if he's ever sampled the beat. I don't know, because I wouldn't know, because I listen to no secular music to know. If he sampled this beat for somebody else, charge it to my head and on my heart? I don't know, but I
Well, he's
want
a
us to
former
listen
secular
to.
artist, anyways. Yeah.
So I want, well, that's great. God still turning around dope dealers and hope dealers and all that. So that's a blessing and even beautiful. But I want us to listen to this song because the plot that's in this song, listen to the words of this song, and he's literally talking about the things that we all fall for. This is why we also, like Bishop said, we have to check our heart too, not only in this subject, because we normally, because of dissonance, cognitive dissonance, we're going to defend what we like, and we're going to try to find a way of softening the thing that we know we like to be entertained by, regardless if it's bad for us.
Hey, Sydney said it's secular because of the lyrics, not because of the notes. So
Well, the
That's
thing
not
about it
always
is,
true.
that's not true.
That's
That's,
not always
again,
true.
the study. Here's the thing: when you go back and do this, the studies that Stacy brought up are some of the same studies that I also witnessed to say that. Here's the thing: you can't say that music with no lyrics can't have a negative spiritual effect on you. Because if so, there's no thing as terror notes. There's no things of chords of terror that can scare you and they ain't said a word. You can start playing some terror notes right now, and everybody, your kids will get fearful like, Daddy,
I'm
turn
so
that off.
glad you said
And it
that.
don't have one word to it.
I'm
So
so
the
glad you
fact that
said
the
that.
fact of the matter
Absolutely
is,
right.
can music with no words affect you spiritually? The
Absolutely
answer is
right.
yes. The
Just
answer is
watch a
yes.
movie. Just watch a comedy. Go watch a comedy. Go
I
watch
mean,
High School Musical, and then go watch a horror movie and see the difference between the
yes.
instrumentation, what instruments they use, what octaves they play in. It's influential. It is.
So let me tell you what that is. That is called ethos, pathos, logos. Okay. And you could go look it up where I feel off your emotion. I feel off what you see, what you feel. And I'm going to say it again, ethos, pathos, logos. Okay. And this is
yeah, I'm
what we
familiar.
study in music history. All right. This is why I'm trying to go back and get my master's. This is what, because I want to study the effects. Music is the only thing that activates our four parts of the brain at the same time. So because it's very powerful. Why can people who can't sing? And
Hey, Stacey, you
Rashad
breaking
said it
up for some
best.
reason.
Okay.
Hey,
Oh,
Stacey,
hold
you
on.
breaking up. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Felicia Rashad said it the best. Before a child walk, they dance. Before a child writes, they draw. And before a child talks, they sing. Your 2-year-old can sing every part of you don't talk about Bruno, no, but try to have a conversation with your 2-year-old child.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
Right.
going to happen. This is why Maria Shriver, I think that's name, I think it's Shriver. This is why when she got shot, they kept playing music for her and she couldn't talk to them, but she sung every lyric. This is why when you go to old people with Alzheimer's and you play music around them, you will see them light up, especially if it's something
Mm-hmm.
they remember, because
Yeah.
that vibration, that feeling. Carmina Burana, you know, bum, ba, dum, dum. You know, I don't know if y'all can understand what I'm saying, but it's
Mhm.
Carmina. When I play that for my kids without the music, because I do this every day. They be like, "Oh my God, Miss Ali, that sounds weird." Or what I would do, I would play CEG, right, and I will play that chord, and it's a triad, and I would play it. And then I say, now watch this. Here's this sound, and it sound all happy. And all I do, I would lower the third. I would now put the E as E flat, and now it's minor. And they be like, Miss Ali, that sounds creepy. And I said, here it is, a half of a step. Change the sound of something, and it made you think something was creepy. Versus when you heard this sound, you were happy. And this is why it's imperative on what you listen to, not only through the words, but also vibration. But this is why they put a lot of bass in rap music, because bass drowns out what you really is supposed to feel with the melody of the music.
That makes
So
sense.
let's go to the Facebook comments,
You
Ron, because
did.
there's two that I
So
wanted
I
to
did, Dr. Crowley,
deal
because I
with.
wanted to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Let's get to it. Let's go.
So,
What
so
is it?
what the Facebook user, the Facebook user that says, okay, we're starting to go around in circles. We need to have a plan in place of how we can make a change. Okay, well, here's to make the change. What Bishop said earlier, self accountability, because the reason for this tonight is showing that if we can show how it's detrimental to the community, we can show how it's detrimental for you to consume it in your spirit, man. So if you want to know what the change is, guess what? Keep your mind stayed on pure things and not sinful music and sinful entertainment. That's for one. For two, the one under that says, show me the New Testament or Old Testament that makes a distinction between pagan music and Christian music and Jewish music. We're putting our own biases into it. That's false, and here's why. So, just like you can't find in the Bible that makes a distinction between pagan Christian shows or Christian shows, what makes the difference? Sin does. So now when we can point, if we can point out music that is promoting sinful, we can make a distinction in between music that should be dwelled upon or music, get this, that God does not like his people to consume. Now, we're not talking about sinners. Sinners are sinners for a reason. We're not shocked when sinners do what sinners do. But for Christians, we keep wondering why we don't have the power to get past certain struggles in our life. Could it be that you don't cut off, is that you're trying to love the new without cutting off the fragrance of the old carnality? For the Bible says this, the ways of carnality is enmity towards God and the Spirit of God. So this is not putting our own biases about it. We're putting Bible on it when we are making the distinction sin. So just like we said earlier, I don't know if whoever left that comment has been watching the whole show, but that is not a bias if we could say the Bible, here again, says the Bible is black and white when it says, okay, the Bible is black and white when it says we shouldn't fool with sin. And nobody can look in the scriptures and make a case that God is okay with sin sometime, because sin is a detriment to us. And I know Bishop wanted to say something to that as well.
Yeah,
God is okay with sin sometime.
Yeah, it's like nothing is black and white no more.
Hey, so look at this.
Can you go back to that other statement?
Yeah, hurry up and go ahead. I'll make your point on that. Yeah, because I want to get to it. We're almost out of time. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna play this song too. I'm gonna cue it up.
I don't think that there's a difference. The Bible doesn't address pagan versus worship, right? Well, pagan versus Christian. It does speak to worship versus non-worship. I'll give you two examples. David was first summoned to Saul because David was gifted in playing instruments that would soothe Saul during his time when he had fallen away from God. Okay, so that's the first example. The second is with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, because it was stated to them that when they hear the instruments play any kind of music, they would have fall and worship Nebuchadnezzar. Specifically, it said any kind of music, right? So the Bible is distinct in the fact that there is a difference between what comes out of an instrument, that it can or cannot glorify God.
And what is also, and Bishop also, even if we want to go to Bible, also talks about there was food and stuff that was already sacrificed or given up to idols. And just that mere fact, God was telling us also.
So the person just put up a comment and said they said nothing about worship. I didn't say you said anything about worship. You said pagan. The Bible doesn't deal with pagan and Christian, but it does deal with worship and non-worship. And I gave two scriptural verses that distinguish the two, right? What David did for Saul was to soothe his soul, right? And what Nebuchadnezzar wanted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to do was to bow down at any kind of sound that came out of an instrument.
Gotcha. Wow. Hey. So then let's answer this question. Then we'll go to that song.
There was another question that came up right there. Then what genres can be considered Christian and what can be civil? Okay, so watch this. And it's real simple. There's no such things as genre. When music was created, it was either secular or sacred. That's it. Right?
Mm-hmm. Glad you said
it was secular or it was sacred. In secular music, we got these different genres. All right. That's it. So you got to figure out in your mind what's secular to you and what's sacred to you. And if it's sacred, listen to it. If it's secular to you, Don't, because you're going to have to protect your peace. And most of the time, if it's sacred, it's going to talk about healing. It's going to talk about betterment of the people. It's going to talk about uplifting yourself and encouraging yourself. And so it's not going to tell you to go out there and harm your people and form gangs. And it's not going to do that. So if you got to ask yourself, do I want to surround myself with secular music or sacred?
That's a good point.
And I don't want any credit. Well, it's not biblically sound music. Well, first of all, neither was the songs of our ancestors. You know, Let's Go Down by the River. That wasn't a biblical sound. That was just something we did to do it. So and it's a feel good song. So you got to ask yourself, what is secular, what is sacred, and you go from there.
And
But
and for me to piggyback off what she said, piggyback on what she said, and take it a step further, what makes it plain is not leaving it up to us or how we feel, but leaving it up to what the Bible says. Because any music is good for you as long as it's without the sin element. The only thing that can hurt a human is sin. So when we talk about these genres, it ain't like, oh, God just hate all country or he hate all forms of style. No, God hates sin. And so if there's any, and I think that should be the defining line, because if that, you can go down a rabbit hole trying to pick it, and this leaves it off of our opinion, this leaves us off our individual pet peeves and biases. Because there's a lot of music that I hate listening to that I can't stand listening to. There may not be nothing wrong to listen to. I just don't like it. But here's the thing. God, we got to ask ourselves not how we feel about it. How does God feel about it? Because here's the thing that the Bible also lets us know. We have gates to our soul, people. What you let enter into your eyes, what you let enter into your ears, and what you let enter into your mouth can affect you in a positive or negative, spiritually and physical light. So this is all we need to talk about. See, because everything that does, and Ron, I said this before, when we generalize it, because secular just simply means what? Void of religious content. That's
right.
All that means. But every secular song don't mean it's a demonic song. Because the ABC song, somebody talked about Mary Had a Little Lamb. If it's not promoting sin, it is okay. If it is promoting or suggesting or advocating sin, let that be the defining factor in if that is good or not good enough for your soul.
And that's kind of hard with jazz, but go ahead.
Real quick, is that the Jackson 5 ABC song? Or?
Oh,
hey. And Bishop said that a couple of times. He said, "No, you talking about?"
hey, again, that's a secular group, right? Hey, I'm just saying. Hey, if we're gonna keep it consistent, because that's where a lot of Christians we lack consistency across the board. But Crawley, you want to go and play this song?
Yeah. So I just wanted us to listen. Just listen to the lyrics of this because it's befitting about entertainment and how. We bow to stuff without even recognizing it. And so just listen to what this guy has to say. This is Bizzle, and just pay attention to the wording of it because, it's phenomenal. He really just preached a sermon, in this song. Right. So I'm going to hit play and let us listen.
Go ahead.
I tried to give them real, but all they want is faking. I tried my best to give them Christ, but all they want is Satan. As long as it ain't too blatant. We claim to hate it till it's painted by somebody famous. It's okay if you promote his ways, but don't say what his name is. Say no to crack, but sniff cocaine as if it ain't as dangerous. We don't smoke it, we just snort it in the form of entertainment. It's like if I promote the hatred, they gon' say it's banging. But if I go against it out of love, they say I'm hating. They told me sell this dope, boy, sell this dope. If you push it, they'll believe you. Plus if you don't, somebody else will. Besides, you can make $1 million off your people. I could've been Rick Ross by now. Freeway Ricky, I could've been Rick Ross by now. Freeway Ricky. In real talk, I understand why they be faking though. If we support it, why should they abort it when it pays the most? After all, ain't nobody forcing you to buy it. They just spend it 20 times a day, forcing you to try it. Try this. So tell me what's a brother to do when being real doesn't appeal to the brother in you. When you get paid to lie, you hate the guy that comes with the truth. So maybe I'd be like that Dr. Savy guy when it's through. I'd hate to die, though I'd be like my Savior Christ if I do. Cause if I paid the price, just know I gave my life up for you. I'd probably be forgotten by those that they rode to the end and end up with a catchy hashtag that don't even trend. I'm saying, they told me sell this dope, boy, sell this dope. If you push it, they'll believe you. Plus, if you don't, somebody else will.
It sounds depressing. You're right.
Make $1 million off your people. I could have been Rick Ross by now. Freeway Ricky. I could have been Rick Ross by now. Freeway Ricky. I'd feed the floss with dreams of bossing since a little child. Who knew I'd meet the boss beneath the cross and flip the style. One day he'd make me see his babies like they were my own. I couldn't deliver them dope anymore, but forgive me, I didn't know. Couldn't let it ride, I was seeing genocide when I looked out my window. I would never lie when I pin a line, I get it in every time I go. This God over money, brother, we another pedigree. If half for they raps couldn't be about crack, bet you they'll never eat. When a week finna raise the bar for the block like an H&R. Better watch who you make a star. You find out how fake they are. Or do we even care at all? At least he getting money, dog. They told me sell this dope, boy, sell this dope. If you push it, they'll believe you. Believe you. Plus, if you don't, somebody else will. Besides, you can make $1 million off your people. I could have been Rick Ross by now. Freeway Ricky, I could have been Rick Ross by now. Freeway Ricky.
Hey, that was a powerful song. Man, yeah, Bizzle is one of the top tier Christian hip hop artists. I would definitely pretty much put up there. Said that sound can take it. Yeah, I can agree with you on that because it does sound depressing. So, but again, but the lyrics are definitely on point.
Yeah, and what he was doing was, y'all want to talk about art, because what we can't do, we can't make excuses for what we love and then try to pick apart what we don't like or understand.
Well, it's just about consistency.
Because that's about consistency, which most of us aren't.
Right.
And that's why we have to be humble enough to look at what needs to be said. You know what I'm saying? Because
that's subjective, Chris.
Because because the thing about it is the reason for the artistry behind the beat to that song was to go along with the message of talking about how we receive dope. Receiving dope is sad. So that if you listen to the lyrics of what he was trying to promote, he was trying to promote that what he was saying was sad, and this is why we shouldn't listen to, but this is what entertainment is doing to our souls and to our spirits. You see what I'm saying? And so
and I totally agree with you on that. And here, let's go with this real quick. It says, I'm not a fan of today's hip hop, but we can use but what can us as the church do, because we are losing our children? Ronald, we know that these labels pay good money and to keep these songs in rotation. So can we begin to formulate some things that maybe this young lady can take back to the statesman that she's talking to?
And I'll say this show ain't designed for that. I mean, I agree with the statement, but we're here just to bring awareness. We're critical dialogue to talk about it. The show, we coming from a Christian standpoint. So to formulate this whole whatever they're talking about, I would suggest that if that's something that you think you could do, because of course it would definitely be needed, and I agree with you. How about you send this lady a list or reach out to her and see? But this show within this hour and a half, it ain't geared to do that. It's geared.
Well,
it's just not.
I will say this, and I know
speak for yourself. Don't speak for us. Say you, not me.
Yeah,
because I got a great idea to his question. But go ahead.
But I would say,
what were you saying? What were you saying in reference?
Hey, Crawley. I would say to this lady, because I know her. The fact is push real Christian hip hop music, urban gospel music. That's another alternative from what's secular out there. Make it more available. Put money behind, so that again, the only reason that separates gospel or Christian hip hop music compared to mainstream is availability or accessibility.
I wouldn't say that. I don't think, because we've been saying that for the longest and people still not pushing gospel. What I think the church needs to start doing is having real conversations about money management. What are you buying those items for? Why? There's one thing to want to be rich because you want a nice house, you just want a nice car and live nice. But these kids don't want to do that. They want the best Jordans, they want this, they want that, they want that. And why do you want it? And start having these conversations, not just getting up every Sunday and preaching the same Bible that we've been preaching for the past 200 years, but 2000, however you want to put
Right,
it.
Chris.
But as far as, take this instead of a sermon. Hey guys, we're not going to have a sermon today. We're going to have a conversation. And I'm going to ask some people in the audience to come up and give, on your Sunday, bump your sermon. I ain't trying to be funny. They know that they know Ezekiel saw the wheel. They know that Jesus arose. They know he the reason for the season. Okay. They know that 3 days he died and arose again. They know that Jesus and Mary was the virgin.
All right, yeah, you don't went out again.
No,
Yeah, you're back in the matrix.
That. What we don't know, and we know what not to do. What you're teaching in church, what you're not teaching in church, and this is coming as a preacher's kid, okay, is what to do. I'm always told, don't sin, don't fornicate, don't da-da-da. But I'm never taught, hey, when you have that feeling that you like that boy, this is how you go the steps about it. Because the feeling is there, and to try to deny that these kids are having these feelings, try to deny that these kids are trying to figure out their sexuality is asinine. And that's what the church has done for the longest. So we need to have these conversations, because if you don't talk to the children about sex, that man down the street is. If you don't talk to the children about the sex, that rap song is. If you don't talk about it, Twitter talking about it. So you need to start opening it up.
That's why we need to support more positive Christian hip hop music.
Yes, we need to support that. However, too, we need to have these conversations to teach these children that it's not money that is evil. It's the love for it. What are you going after it for?
Amen, Chris White.
And what are you going after it for? If you're going after it so you can flodge some new rims, and even though I hate Charles Barkley, why would he said one thing that stuck with me? Why would I buy rims that I can't see in my car? Anything that I'm gonna buy and pay thousands and $1 million gonna be in my car where I can access it, compared to on the outside so you can see it. And I think a lot of people want to do it for cap or whatever they call it, for clout. And what is clout? And have these conversations, get with these kids, learn their lingo. And that's the only way you're going to connect with them. And I'm just speaking as an educator who works in a system in the inner city where it goes down. Like today, we literally had a threat for the second day in the row. And so it's
yeah. Oh, yeah. Hey, look, I totally, and I work in the inner city as well. And yeah, music is a very powerful thing. So for sure.
But here's the thing that we keep doing is, which ain't gonna work, because how many years is this gonna take us to say we need to support Christian music? Guess what? Even if before you can start supporting Christian music, first of all, you have to love righteous things. You have to have a hate for stuff that's unrighteous. And the problem is, you're asking an unregenerated people to support something that they're not even interested in.
Well, you do.
The reason why Christian hip hop, no matter how, because here's the thing, we without excuse these days, because like Ron said many times, which I agree with, and the musical people understand, there was a time a couple of decades ago where Christian composition and stuff was terrible. It was corny, and it was not professional. Now that's not the case. You got some hot composition just as good as secular composition. But what is lacking? The love for righteousness things. If hip hop if Christian rap is a righteous thing, promoting things that's good, guess this. There's a reason why you always see drama on TV. Because people have a thirst for that drama. If first of all you don't teach the people, if you don't talk to the people, if you don't create in them not only pastors and parents, and I like what Chris White for, because he was right.
Yeah.
What are we as parents and then as peers doing to each other to help build in a thirst for righteousness? Because if you don't have a thirst for righteousness, why are you going to support something righteous?
Very well said, Crawley. Very well said. That's the root of the issue, which is why hip hop and R&B music is detrimental to our community. We really don't have a thirst for righteousness, because righteousness is boring. All right. Yeah. Or no, we are bored with righteousness.
Yeah, we are bored with righteousness. Right.
Hey, that's Yeah, wow. Yeah, hey man, hey, these are some great comments, y'all. It's 10 o'clock here. Hey, Stacy, the people want to know how can they get in contact with you? And
Via Facebook. That's about the only thing. I ain't giving out my number. I ain't got no website. I don't know how to do all that by myself. I'm not finna do all that by myself as a mother four that teach 756 kids.
right,
Now,
yeah.
if you can hit me up on Facebook and you want to help design, support, and all that, help me out. You know, if I know math, let me do math. You know, English, you do English. We come together. We have essays and some science. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Right there, my name, Stase. Okay, you could just type that in and trust me, I will pop up.
See, but all right. Hey, well, look, I'm so
Thank you
proud,
so much for
proud
spending time with us tonight.
of this young lady right here, because and again, she can verify. Again, I was playing Christian hip hop when she was in middle school. All right, and again, they should listen to me on the radio on Sundays. And
Yep.
all right, okay,
Right
and
here in
so
Orlando.
in Orlando, Old Town, baby. Yes, so it shows you how much I've been true to this, and just to see how it has evolved to where we can't forget the foundation of why we're doing what we're doing. All right, stop copying secular artists just because you want to get clout and be famous, because that's pretty much your motive basically, and it's why some Christian hip hop sucks the way it does. All right, so
Well,
yeah,
Brother Rod, you have inspired me. I'm gonna have to go break out some of my CMC.
CMC. Hey, I was playing that back then. Yes, exactly. That I mean, again, you know what I'm saying? We can do this, but we just have to be intentional and stop being bored with righteousness. All right.
Amen, Marcos. I like what he just put up there. The church doesn't want to step on these toes on hard issues. And one of the reasons why it is because let's face it, it's going to be hard. This is why the Bible says as leaders, we have to live our lives in a way that's above reproach. Because it's going to be hard for you to come back and teach people and step on their toes if they see you doing it and bringing this type of foolishness in church services. And if when they see you have a birthday party for your kids, you're bringing just as much, you bringing the club, the secular club, to your preacher's kid's birthday party. You see what I'm saying? So we have to live a life as well as proclaim. And I like what Stacy was pretty much saying earlier was we got to learn to have more conversations.
Yes.
And y'all know I've said it hundreds of times. One of the biggest things that the church need to change is we need to understand how to engage and interact with people and not just preach to them. Preaching is good.
Yes.
It's important. Like someone also brought up, the Bible teaches us it is unless you can't hear unless you hear it through a preacher. And so preaching is good. We just got to balance it with also having conversations and stuff like that because it's all needed. And I agree with Chris. It's on so many fronts where we have to attack this. But it first start with us. Do I myself support it and feed my soul and spirit with this type of stuff?
Man, oh wow.
Let me say this.
Yeah, go ahead, Bishop.
So much, I agree with so much that has been said tonight. And this isn't an attack. This is just a question that I think in this hour, every believer has to ask themselves this question multiple times a day. Am I truly in love with Jesus?
Oh, gosh.
Not a question of whether or not Jesus loves me. Am I truly
Bishop
in love with Jesus? Right? That's a question. The Bible is
my
not
friend with benefits. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Right, exactly. The Bible's not outdated. The Bible's not antiquated. The Bible has not fallen short. It is just because it's not in digital form doesn't mean that it doesn't work now, right? I love the statement about that's what parents are for, right? Raise a child up in the way they should go. They shall not easily depart from it, right? If my people who are called by my name would humble themselves and pray, seek my face, turn from their wicked ways. This whole thing is a process, right? It's a process that equates to progress, but it's not progress in what makes you feel good. It's not progress in what causes you to feel sensationalized. It's progress in what causes you to understand what righteousness really is and what it means to represent him when it doesn't feel good to represent him.
Come on,
and these are some of the elements that are missing in the body of Christ.
Man,
That's a benediction right there.
there it is.
There
Hey,
it is.
Stacy, we got to do a part 2 to this, because the folks are asking for it. Hey, so
I'll do it when my hair finished. My hair almost done.
She said, "When my hair's finished."
Hey, well, hey, we want to thank y'all so much for joining us tonight. All right, this is as always, we give God all the glory, because this is why we do what we do. We've been doing this for over 5 years now, and it's just hey, I don't see us stopping anytime soon until God opens up another door or what have you. But again, we need to have more conversations like this, as Stacey said. And then and Crawley, again, you've been saying this for the longest. You know what I'm saying? We need more conversations than sermonic presentations. And you know what I'm saying? Because again, look at where we're at right now. All right. Hey, Roy and everyone else, Chris,
Thank
Nietzsche,
y'all
all of
so
that. Thank
much,
y'all
man.
so
Y'all
much.
made it show what it is.
Yes.
Everybody who
Yes.
commented on
Thank
the
you,
sideline tonight.
fellas.
Thank
Yes.
y'all
Nice
so
being
much.
the only girl on
Ladies.
here.
Hey,
Yes.
we need.
Don't
Hey.
make it the last time.
Nah, exactly.
I
Exactly.
won't. Just invite me to remind me.
Okay.
Yes, definitely. Hey, thank you, Mary. Good seeing you again as well. Remember, you all be blessed out there. All right. And be safe. Remember, you matter in the kingdom of God. So don't compare yourself or your ministry to anyone else to do what God's called you to do, and you'll be just fine. All right. God bless. Peace.